For doing activity 2, we are gonna work on the previously written code. So here I put x5 and I put y7. Okay, if x greater than y, so print this message. And if not, x is not greater than y. So since it is if else, under any condition we will have something on the console, and here x is smaller than 7, so else part will print on the console. That means x is not greater than y. And if I change the value of x to 9, when I run it, I will get this. X is greater than y. The last famous structure we have in the category of if statements is this one that you see in front of you. If, else, else. What happens here? If, else structure is combination of all the previous ones that we did together. See, here it says if the condition holds, do a statement 1. And if it doesn't hold, go for the rest. But the rest is not the same as before, that it is anything other than test expression 1. You can partition the rest of the conditions. So here you see what happens. If test expression 1 hold, do statement 1. If test expression 2, do a statement 2, and like this. And finally, if none of these conditions hold, do else. So the structure, the logic is the same as before. You put the conditions in the parentheses for all of them. All of them come after if. So you see if. Inside parentheses, you have test expression 1. Inside parentheses, you see for the second one and third one. And all the statements come inside the curly brackets. And for the last one, since it says, I'm talking about this else, since it says, if none of the conditions before hold, do this, so it means any conditions other than the previously mentioned condition. So for doing this, let's do an activity. Activity 3, let's check it together. Write a code in R that gets two inputs of X and Y. Then if X is greater than Y, it prints this message on the console, X is greater than Y. If X equals Y, it prints this message on the console, X and Y are equal, otherwise it prints X is smaller than Y. You see, it is not two conditions. It is not two parts. It is three parts. So you need to have one else if part in your code. Now stop the video and try to do this code on your RStudio before you check the answer with the video. Let's do the changes on the code we already have. So we save typing. Okay, we have x9, y7. Okay, the first part, if x greater than y, print x is greater than y. And here, when it comes to else, you should put else if. What condition? If x equal y. If x equal y, print x and y are equal. But still we are not done. We go for the last part, that if x is not greater than y and x is not equal to y, so what happens in that situation? It is the else condition. So else print x is smaller than y. Okay, now let's run it, and we need to run it 3 times at least to check all the performance. So now we have the condition that x is greater than y. So when I run it, I get this message, x is greater than y, correct. So let's make x 7 and run it another time. And here you see x and y are equal. And the last part, let's make x 5. X is smaller than y. Now you know the 3 major if statement structure syntaxes in R. But here in the slide in front of you, you see a function that is related to, again, if statements, and it is if-else function. And I have seen many people use these instead of using the if statements in the structure that we just explained. Okay, if-else statement, as you quickly, if-else function, as you quickly noticed, it can cover 2 parts. Okay, that we are going to discuss more about these things. 2 parts means if the condition holds, do something, otherwise do something else. And the syntax is, as you can see in front of you, if else, you put the test expression here, that is x greater than y, or remainder of x by 2 equal to something, or any of those things. And as you can see here, it returns x if the corresponding value of test expression is true. So if your test expression is holding, it is true, the condition holds, it does x, otherwise it does y. As you can see in front of you in this slide, it returns y if the corresponding value of test expression is false. So when the value of test expression is false, when the condition is not holding. When the value of test expression is true, when the condition holds. Okay, here we have an example before we do some activities together. Here we have the vector A, that is a vector of size 4, 5, 7, 2, 9. Here it put if else. So if else function, and the condition is this: argument or elements of A divided by 2 if the remainder equals to 0. If the remainder equals to 0, print even. If it is not, print odd, and after that when you run it, you get these things. So please do it in your IDE. while I'm also doing in my IDE before we start working on an activity to learn it better. Let's create the vector 3, 6, 4, and 14. After that, we go for the function. The function if else. We put the condition. And we have talked about the logic of mathematical calculations in R. That, for example, you remember when we apply an operator on a matrix, it goes and activate itself on each element of the matrix. So here we have a vector, and so when I say remainder of A divided by 2, it goes for each element of the vector. Again, we have discussed these things specifically in the session that our focus was mathematical logic, mathematical computations, logic of R. So the remainder 2, if it is equal to 0, and print this one. If it holds, it is even. Otherwise, it is odd. Okay, now you see we have A as the vector, and we have this function over here, so we can run it to see the result. And here it is the result. 3 is odd and the remaining ones are even. Let's do an activity. Here we are, activity 4, that it says repeat activity 2, but this time with if-else function. Okay, let's check activity 2 another time. Okay, activity 2, it says write a code in R that gets to input of X and Y. Then then if X is greater than Y, it prints the message X is greater than Y. Otherwise, it checks. Otherwise, it prints X is not greater than Y. So here you see the activity wants you to notice the function if else is the same as those statements, and you can choose the one that fits your code and need the best. So here we have, oh, we don't have the answer here. Okay, let's do it. And again, my friend, stop the video, do it yourself before you check the answer in the video. Thank you. Okay, we quickly start our work. We get 2 inputs, Y9, and we quickly go for the function. And the function if else. I put the condition if X is greater than Y. So you see, I don't write here print something. I just put this thing because R by default knows the it should return what is in this argument. So X is greater than Y, and otherwise, if the condition is not holding, it is X is not greater than Y, and that's it. So now I'm gonna run this, and you see we have this X is smaller, and it says X is not greater than Y. I change x to 11 and run it another time, and here is the result.